Hello, Doug Wood, CEO of Tommy Bahama. I am writing this open letter to you for two reasons. First, I believe that you should be made aware of what is happening in your guest service call center. Second, I want to embolden my former colleagues so that they will not fear contacting you anonymously and informing you of how poorly they are being treated. You see, none of the call center employees that I have spoken with, who have toiled here for multiple years, has ever completed a review of their leads, supervisors, or managers. There was a time when a stop, go, keep program took place, but that has not happened since Kate G took over. With this being the case, you are getting no feedback regarding the environment in which the guest services representatives, hereinafter referred to as GSRs, work. If this is correct, then the only information that you receive comes from raw data and statements made by members of the leadership team in the call center. This would make you so far removed from the trials and tribulations of those charged with putting a voice to Tommy Bahama that you are in effect doing a disservice to those who made you responsible for seeing that the Tommy Bahama brand is the best that it can be. The happier the GSR, the happier the Tommy Bahama guests are likely to be. It is not my intention to offend you, but instead to open your eyes to how your GSRs are being treated in the call center. As it stands, the way in which they are treated is analogous to the way in which white slave owners treated their black slaves. When slavery was legal in the United States of America, slaves had no rights as they were considered property. Slaves could not question orders, even if they were contradictory, without being maimed, mutilated, tortured, or killed. That is, in effect, what occurs at the resort. Employees are prohibited from questioning guidelines or directives which clearly contradict one another. To do so will likely have you labeled as combative or argumentative, and your continued employment will be threatened. Now, if a person cannot work, then that individual will have a struggle trying to purchase food to eat. If you cannot eat, then you will eventually die. Just as slave masters or overseers killed slaves for no offense at times, members of your leadership team are threatening your GSRs with a similar fate. Think about this. If I have been put on notice regarding my attendance, and so I show up to work even when sick, and I am subsequently sent home due to my illness, should I be written up for coming to work while sick? This is a catch-22, a classic catch-22. Call in sick and get written up. Come to work sick and get written up. What action could a GSR take that would not have resulted in disciplinary action? This is how we are treated. Relax. That is one of the mottos of Tommy Bahama from my understanding. I must ask, how is a GSR supposed to relax when they never know which guideline to follow when performing assigned duties? Guidelines or directives are given verbally in a good majority of cases. If you follow a guideline and a situation escalates, oftentimes you, as a GSR, will be coached. You will be told, "That's not what I told you," or "That's not what I meant," or "I don't remember," or anything else one might imagine that removes responsibility for the mishap from management and places that weight firmly on the shoulders of the GSR. This creates a situation where a GSR who was following the directive is held responsible for a negative outcome, just as a GSR who was not following the guideline would be. Now, if a GSR attempts to remind management that they instructed him or her to follow that course of action, then the GSR is considered argumentative, combative, or some other term with a negative connotation and written up for being such. To make matters worse, management refuses to put certain guidelines and or directives it gives the GSRs in writing, thus creating a chaotic environment. As an example, on July 21st, 2017, at approximately 12 noon, a guest wanted a sale price to be applied retroactively to her purchase. Catherine T. advised me to tell the guest, no. I complied. Approximately 15 minutes later, when I met with Miss T regarding another guest, she inquired as to how the aforementioned situation was resolved. I informed her that I told the guest that we would not be able to accommodate her request. Miss T then asked me if the guest would have been happier if I told her yes. I replied that she would have been. Miss T then asked why I had told the guest no. I responded, because you told me to tell her no. Miss T responded by telling me that I should not have accepted her response and presented it to the guest. She told me that I should have been more fervent in advocating for the guest so that Miss T understood what would have made the guest happy. I told her that I had put that information in my message to her and she still responded no. But Miss T said I should have made it clear what the guest really wanted. You should be able to pull the instant messages from around noon on July 21st, 2017 and confirm that I asked for exactly what the guest had requested. I could not have made it any clearer than by asking for exactly what the guest wanted, and she still answered no. A little more than 3 months later, on Monday, October 30th, a similar situation occurred. A guest called, and I could tell from my conversation with her that she wanted some form of monetary compensation since she drove to a store to use her promotional award card and was turned away. The card was not effective until November 1st of 2017, but that date was not printed anywhere on the card. I informed Zachary S. that the guest wanted some form of monetary compensation. He countered with an option of free ground shipping on her order. Per Miss T's direction, I let Zachary know that she really wanted some form of monetary compensation and this would make her happy. He said he would research this and I should advise the guest that I would call her back later. I was then called into a meeting 7 minutes before my shift was due to end to discuss the matter with Zachary and Miss T. I had matters to attend to after work, so we reconvened the following day to finish discussing why I had questioned Zachary's option. Prior to the conclusion of Monday's meeting, I was asked if I thought an acceptable option would have been for me to complete her order with free next day shipping, and I responded, no. She wanted some form of monetary compensation. During Tuesday's meeting, Zachary advised me that he had called the guest and asked her what we could do to make it right. She said she wanted gas money. She settled for a free Flipside card, a form of monetary compensation, just as I had said she wanted. I was then admonished for not offering up Zachary's original option, which I knew she would find unacceptable. I then reminded Miss T of what she had said to me on July 21st. Miss T responded, I don't remember that conversation. I then spoke to Kate G on Wednesday, November 1st, as I was receiving a disciplinary document for following instructions. I don't think I can emphasize that enough. Let me repeat it. I then spoke to Kate G on Wednesday, November 1st, as I was receiving a disciplinary document for following instructions. I again requested that these directives that I am being given be put in writing, as this was the second time Miss T acted surprised and alleged she forgot that she had given me a directive to follow. The first time being back on June 16. Miss G reiterated that she had told me before that the company was not going to put those guidelines in writing, so I needed to quit requesting it. What company does not want to increase the likelihood that employees will follow guidelines by putting them in writing? Tommy Bahama, apparently. Now, before you accuse me of being the only employee who has experienced this, let me assure you that I am not. I have heard similar stories from about 20% of the GSRs who work here prior to the company bringing on seasonal employees for the upcoming holiday season. These GSRs have never been asked to voice their experiences anonymously to executive leadership. I quit. So do not fear the loss of a job I happily resigned from. I very well may have wanted to continue working there, but for the fact that management intentionally does what it can to avoid taking responsibility for the decisions and directions that it gives. If a supervisor's memory is such that she repeatedly cannot remember the directions that she gives to her subordinates, then why does she refuse to document said instructions? Why does the manager refuse to require it? I believe that these are questions that need to be asked, though personally, I no longer care, as, once again, I quit. Hopefully this letter will embolden those who are still there and who have had similar experiences to send you an email from an anonymous email account that you may know that this goes on all the time. It is about accountability and the fact that one supervisor in particular avoids it like a plague, and your manager actively supports this. As I said before, this is a plantation mentality, as the GSRs are effectively treated slightly better than slaves. And I'll rephrase that. I may not rewrite it. But as I alluded to before, this is a plantation mentality, as the GSRs are effectively treated slightly better than slaves. Yes, we are paid for the work we perform, but we have no rights and are punished at the whim of management. Miss T and Miss G, although it's actually Mrs., may have wanted me to answer to Toby, but my name is Kunta Kinte. You cannot break me. Respectively, a GSR with a 4.94 out of 5-star rating over the last 30 days as of the making of this video, and with almost 700 surveys, 5-star reviews from 92% of respondents, 4-star reviews from 5% of respondents, and 1-star reviews, 1% for 1, 2, and 3-star reviews, respectively. Tommy Bahama guest service representatives. Just call us Samba. We put on a smile and suffer for the entertainment of the guests as we silently cry on the inside. Y'all know it's true. Go to part 2 for additional commentary as it relates to treatment at Tommy Bahama. And that's for you, Doug Wood, or anyone else who is viewing this video. See you on the other side.